Hi guys, Reyndal here. This week, Oldoa has received her second mastery ability, and I've been playing with her in Arena quite a bit. I'm not going to say she's competitive with, Winter Dwartha and the other most recent win releases. She's definitely not a powerhouse, but a lot of what I love doing in War of the Visions is taking older units, or units that don't receive as much love from the player base, and trying to make them shine. So this is what we're doing today. We're taking her in Arena prior to the matches. I believe I'm in top 1000 or so it's going to be fairly high level matches, but nothing too crazy, and we'll try to give her as good a performance as we can. Now, our Oldoa will be built for Drain Force. The biggest reason for this is if I wanted her to do a decent amount of damage, I would need her to have her own TMR because it provides her with defense penetration, and innately, Oldoa has 0 defense penetration. And so if she's ever hitting a tank or somebody who's rather bulky in the defense department, she does not do modern damage dealer damage. And then she's rather squishy. She's a soldier, so there's really no reason to run her outside of the Drain Force build, in my opinion, because her damage is just lacking otherwise. Drain Force, though, she does pretty well. If you're not aware, what Drain Force is it's an ability that's going to drain an enemy's HP based on your own, and then it's only modified by single target resistance and Man-Eater. These are the two only things that are going to influence Drain Force damage outside of elemental advantages or disadvantages. In our build, we're going to go for as much Man-Eater as we can, so we have the Odin Esper, the Exorcist Esper for another batch of Man-Eater, and we're just going to try to drain people to death. I've seen her do roughly 5 to 7k over the week, depending on who she was hitting and if they had some single target resistance down or not. So that's what we're going for. Our build is all about having HP. 6600 is not that much, but she's not a tanky character. She doesn't have a ton of HP to begin with, so that's what we have to work with. And then, even without a weapon, she still has 1000 attack, which is respectable, so sometimes she's going to hit with some other stuff, it's fine. Most importantly, we have a form of re-raise on her, because since she can drain back to full HP, if she can tank 2 hits before going down, eventually goes down, goes back to full with the Drain Force, it takes 2 more hits to take her down, and so she remains an annoyance, and hopefully that's how she's going to win the fights. And then finally, in terms of abilities on off, let me just take her back to Viking, and what we'll do is she'll have Rebellious Spirit on as one of the buffs she could use. Outside of that, she might use Hazard Form. I don't care about what the stats she gains from those buffs, it's more about generating AP and making sure that she can keep spamming that Drain Force. That's very important. Her second mastery ability did give her a 4th square of Drain Force that doesn't show in here, but is actually a thing, and 1 height range, so she reaches 4 squares away and has the ability to drain people quite well because of that. Then the other teammates are Halloween Little Leela and More, who are both just there for the damage and cleanup. They're very strong. They're here to support the fact that we are running a slightly weaker unit with Oldoa, and hopefully they're going to do a good job. We do have 2 re-raises, which is quite a bit of an edge in a lot of fights. Let's begin by fighting that water team. It's a really spicy setup where their Tidus is set for evasion. So they have a luck up VC, an evasion up VC, an evasion up Esper, and a lot of evasion gear on that guy. I don't think I've ever seen that build before, so, we're going for something unconventional. Let's fight another unconventional team, and we'll see how it works. If you're watching this thinking, is he going to use Oldoa to fight the top tier light teams? No, she doesn't even have enough accuracy with this build to land hits on them reliably. It's not about being competitive, but I'm very curious to see if we'll get some good performance here. So first things first, Leela is going to use the Grace of Eternal Friendship. I like when she goes first because the barrier is really critical in her doing anything before going down. Enemy Elsirelle has Courage. Now, Elsie is really weak to enemy magical attacks, so I feel like Mort has a pretty good edge against Elsirelle on that side of the field. Then Tidus has a physical barrier, but that will not help him against attacks from Oldoa like Drain Force. So here we go. We're going to drain the enemy Viktora for basically her entire HP pool. She has a chance to fight back right here. She's going to use Dispel Spread. That is a pretty heavy hit. I think Tidus is going to finish us off with the next hit. Meanwhile, Elsie takes a hit. Oh, Tidus is not in range. Just goes to use Haste. Alright, interesting. We're going to finish Elsie on one side. Oldoa is still alone against 2. Can she heal herself? She really needs to go back to full HP here. But nope, Viktora just gets hasted and uses an arm shot instantly, so Oldoa is going to come back to life, but because of the haste, they both play again. Never mind, actually, I'm just lying. She's going to drain Tidus to death in a single hit, through his 50% physical barrier because, you know, Drain Force doesn't care about barriers, it's not an attack scaling move, and we win with basically a full HP Oldoa here. Now, this time we have a fire team. They have Cetia, who is a bit of an issue for this build, because if she uses healing power down, it severely reduces the amount of HP we get back from Drain Force. Also, Oldoa has pretty good resistances to all damage types with her second mastery ability except magical attacks, and Rain, using abilities like Jamming Thrust, could potentially just take her out in one hit. We need her to be able to take 2 hits so she can drain in between, so that could be a pretty big issue, but I guess we'll see what happens. First things first, we are faster than them, so we get to use re-raise, pretty good. Apparently they go for area resistance. It is going to be pretty good on Rain though. Cetia takes a first hit that removes her re-raise. This is pretty bad. She won't have the opportunity to come back to life with this. Hopefully she doesn't remove any other re-raise on our team. Leela still not in range. This King Mont is going to use Callum's Pride, make sure his turn comes back extra quickly. A Flaming Impact on Moore does not land the slow, great. And then Oldoa goes for the Drain Force on Cetia. Cetia has a decent amount of single target resistance in this build, so she actually soaks quite a bit of our attack. It's not as impactful as it could have been. I think without single target resistance, it might have been a one-shot, but most Cetias I've seen have 6,000 HP, so we're not doing that much with the usual drains. So now we silence Rain, that's a very useless Rain, and then they have a lot of area resistance, but they also have a debuff on their area resist. King Mont does have a chance to reach, uses the Limit Break. This is as bad as it gets for our 2 mages. If they're berserked, they don't do a whole lot. It's a lot worse for Leela than it is for Moore though, because Moore has a basic attack that does quite a bit, and also when you come back to life, you're not affected by the same status effects. So Oldoa goes for an ability that is not Drain Force because of the height differences. That's fine, she still did a pretty good job. Meanwhile, Moore is finishing off the enemy team pretty much by herself, and that one's a win. I am very curious for this match. They have 1 Earth unit to Ice, so overall they have an elemental advantage over us, but Oldoa will be starting in front of Auron if I don't completely forget how this map works, which means that unless Auron 1 punches her, she might be able to drain in between attacks. Now, Drain Force against, any attack against an enemy who you are weak to does 25% less damage, so that could potentially be an issue, but hopefully the other girls manage to kill Halloween Fred quickly enough to come in reinforcement. So we'll see. Again, a physical shield has no impact against us. This ability though with defense penetration could be an issue for Oldoa. Let's see what happens. We get the re-raise, very important. Another re-raise also pretty darn good. And now, are we in range? Yes, so we're already beginning to hit the Salire. Salire will probably just kill our Halloween little Leela, who doesn't have a re-raise. Yep, there we go. Detonation Blast, 7,000 damage through the barrier, and Leela is gone. Then Dragon's Fang on Oldoa for a really big amount of damage. We're gonna Drain Force. He's half dead. We're at pretty much half HP. Meanwhile, Moore just kills Halloween Fred, who dies without doing anything remotely useful in this match. Kills our Moore in a single hit. She comes back to life. So far, so good. I'm pretty sure Auron is going to do the same. Kill us. No, we survive. Another Drain Force. Auron is gone. Oldoa is still fairly healthy. Can we win? That would be hilarious. Just seeing Oldoa fight an Auron and win was already pretty good for me. Alright. So I'm currently on a 33 win streak with this team, but let's break our streak by hitting this lightning team. I'm pretty sure we will not be able to deal with Charlotte fast enough for the other guys to delete us. Maybe Oldoa will be able to duel the enemy Cloud because of Drain Force, but even then I think he is going to have the damage to kill her in one hit, and then she comes back to life, drains, and gets killed again. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go, but I'd be surprised if we somehow manage to win here. We would need Oldoa to drain Charlotte to kill her, but then they all have pretty bulky characters. Let's see what happens. I'm going to stop talking. So she uses Hate Up. That's fine. That means we're going to target her. Grace of Eternal Friendship on Ibara is really good for her survivability, and then Cloud has infinite AP. He pretty much always has this in a fight though, and don't feel like that's too impactful. So now Moore also has re-raise, great, very useful in front of someone like Ibara who is likely to one-punch her. Unfortunately, Axiom on Charlotte doesn't do a whole lot, we're not hitting many people. Moore loses 1 life immediately, that is what I expected to see. Ibara does crazy damage like she usually does. 1 hit on Oldoa, allowing Cloud to finish her off perhaps, or does he go for Leela? Goes for the Leela, so Ascension is going to break her barrier. I think we just lost Leela right here, because she's not going to survive a hit from Cloud. Yep, 9,000 damage, she's out. What can Oldoa do? Goes to Charlotte, finishes draining her, 5,700, she's down. Can Moore do anything? Nope, we get an enemy reflex from Ibara. And she's like, you don't stand a chance if I prevent you from dealing any damage. So here we go, we lose 1, it's Oldoa against the world. Oldoa is weak to magic, it's not a good prospect. He actually lands the paralysis on Oldoa, so she just doesn't play on the next turn. Gets killed by the enemy Ibara, comes back, and then it's Cloud's turn again. Without the paralysis, maybe she would have been able to kill Cloud, but I don't think so. I think she would have needed too many attacks for that. So there we go, a bad combination of RNG, but we would have lost the matchup either way. So this is it. Honestly, I've been really surprised this week. I thought it would be kind of a troll team, I was just messing around, but it ended up being surprisingly good. And if you look at the resistances, my Oldoa has positive resistances all around, pretty much. Except a good weakness to magic, so she does a really decent job against many enemies. Can't be charmed. I could try to make her work in manual. My big issue with her is she is strictly worse than Ketone. She doesn't have the mobility, she doesn't have the survivability, and she drains just slightly harder than Ketone does. So I don't think she's really worth considering from a competitive standpoint, but I have so much fun running her. I think it was one of my best arena weeks in terms of just raw enjoyment. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. Let me know if there's other units you want me to play around with. I really just love playing these non-meta units, so I might spend the Blossoms for one if you have a good suggestion. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later.